And I hope that you, I understand we're on the cusp of the culmination of an anniversary celebration, but the Lord gave me this message. And I know it's not about us as individuals, but then again, it does take individuals to comprise the landscape of the congregation in the house. And so I want to work on us tonight. Amen. As individuals, amen, so that we can be that corporate body that God is looking for. I want to call your attention to 1 Samuel chapter 28. I want to begin our reading at the third verse. 1 Samuel chapter 28, beginning our reading at the third verse. From the King James rendering, we will find this account. Now Samuel was dead, and all of Israel had lamented him and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all of Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment. And he went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray you, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then the woman said unto him, whom shall I bring unto thee? And he answered and said, bring me up Samuel. You may be seated. The word of the Lord for the people of the Lord. Glory be to the Lord. I want to concentrate on that 8th verse, which says, and Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment. I want to talk from this thought. I just gotta be me.
Come on, my pastor.
I just gotta be me. Tap your neighbor. I'm not going to neighbor you to death tonight, I promise. Tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, I just gotta be me.
I just gotta be me.
I just gotta be.
Yes, my pastor.
Dr. Wormley, in 1968, there was a Broadway musical production held at the Schubert Theater entitled I've Got to Be Me. And we thank God for Stephen Lawrence, who starred in that production. In the same year, Sammy Davis Jr. released the song whose brilliant lyrics rang, if you permit me to say, I'll go it alone, if that's how it must be. It can't be right for someone else if it's not right for me.
Yes.
I've got to be free. I've got to be free. Daring to try to do it or die, but I've got to be me. My sisters and brothers, no one can be you like you. There are a lot of imitators, there are a lot of duplicators.
Yes.
Imitation is the highest form of flattery. As much as I love people, I don't want to be anyone else but me.
All right.
With all of my flaws, with all of my weaknesses, with all of my stuff, I just want to be me. Because I understand that God is not looking for me try to be anyone else but me.
Yes.
Because he knows me from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. My brothers and sisters, the church cannot be where she truly ought to be until we as individuals understand that God can just use plain old you. You don't have to be super Christian. You don't have to walk around floating on air. You can be used just as you are. Don't allow the enemy to make you feel like you have to try to be anyone outside of who you are. You can tell your neighbor now, listen, this is me, got to take me as I am. I'm just going to let the Lord work on me. Work on me, work on me, work on me. I showed Calvary a couple of months ago, Dr. Wormley. If you all remember the character Charlie Chaplin, some of you are young enough to remember him. And how he used to do everything in silence. Well, he entered into a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest, and he came in third place. I'm trying to help somebody that the judges thought that two other people looked more like him than he did. I think that's going to catch on a little later tonight, my sisters and brothers. Well, how about this? There was an old alley cat. He was beat up from the floor up, and a wino said, I'm going to enter him into this feline contest that was coming into the city. He saw this beat up cat. He took the cat, and he said, you can't go in like this. He put a mop on the cat's head, stuck him in the contest, and the judges said, what are you doing? This is an alley cat. He said, I know it's an alley cat, but I thought the exposure would be good for him. I wish I had somebody. You'll get that later on tonight. Don't let nobody dress you up. Don't let nobody pump you up. Don't let nobody prime you up to be anything other than what you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God can use you. Yes, you, all of you, in spite of you feeling like you have to dress up and be anything for anybody. Brothers and sisters, there are some people who only like you if you become what they need you to become. There are some people who will only applaud you if you do and say what they want you to. You're the best thing since sliced pizza. If you do everything they want you to do or be everything they want you to be. But as soon as you get a backbone, as soon as you get your own mind, as soon as you get your own personality, as soon as you figure out your swag, all of a sudden they got issues with you. But you need to turn to them and say, listen, all I got to be is me. I love me. That's the first point of the evening. Be yourself. Turn to your neighbor and say, just be yourself. Yes, you. With your 10-ounce heart pumping 2,000 gallons a day, 100,000 beats per day, just be you. Walking 3,000 to 5,000 steps per day, breathing 12,000 to 17,000 breaths per day. Just be you. Going around the world at 1,100 miles per hour, 365.2 days a year. God is moving the earth this fast enough so you won't get sick, and just slow enough so you won't get vertigo. But there's a 0.3% gravitational pull that's trying to thrust you off of the earth and throw you into nothingness. But God's gravitational grace keeps your feet firmly planted on the ground. Just be you and just walk in the divine blessings that God has for you. Turn to your neighbor and say, I'm just going to be myself with all of my stuff. God can use little old me. I done messed up. I done fumbled the ball. I have blown it. I have messed up in life. I have done things God told me not to do. I've done things he told me to stay away from. But still, God is looking for me to just be me. I've discovered, Dr. Wormley, that some people are all dressed up with nowhere to go. Is there anybody here? Well, I'll use myself as an example. I haven't always been a preacher, and there were some times that I got dressed up and really had no place to go. Or I thought I was alive, but I was very much dead. But I'm so glad the Lord turned me around and took my costume off and took my mask off. And I discovered that I didn't have to be anything that anybody else wanted me to be. I discovered that I didn't have to try to pretend that I was somebody that I wasn't. I discovered that God loves little old T.L. Jordan and my nappy-headed self just the way I am. Just as one plea, Jesus' blood was shed for me. Oh, I thank God, Lamb of God, I come just as Is there anybody here that can say, just as I am? I'm on my way tonight. I ain't got to dress up for nobody. Just be yourself. Watch the text. The text says that Saul realized that God was not speaking to him. Samuel, his mentor, had died. At the time of the text, Samuel is dead. Samuel is buried in Ramah. Saul himself, as king, put out all those who had wizard spirits, those who had fortune-telling skills, those who had familiar spirits, were all exiled from the land. And so now that he's knowing that God is not speaking to him, and he sees the Philistine army gathering to overtake Israel, he becomes panicked inside. And Saul says, I need somebody to guide me. I need someone to give me some good advice. With the Philistine army gathering themselves against me, Samuel is dead. God is not speaking to me. Can I put a nickel in the meter here in Park? It's a shame if you discover when God is not speaking. I wish I had somebody. Don't ever let the Lord get silent on you. Don't you ever let the Lord turn his back on you. But that is the issue of the text. God says, Saul, I'm not talking to you. And so what Saul does is he gets some people, his failures and his flunkies, to go and find somebody that can help him with his situation. He says, I need a witch to help me with the situation that I'm in. I need y'all to go find me somebody. I realize that I have extradited them out of the land, but they've got to be around here somewhere. Well, those brothers went out and found a woman of Endor, the province of Galilee, the city of Canaan. They went and found this witch, and then Saul found out that they found her, and he disguised himself. Can I work with that just for a moment?
Come on.
That anytime you encounter someone who has to disguise themselves, that's an individual that you need to get far away from. If you just can't be you, and I just can't be me, then I know already that God is not in what we're getting ready to talk about. There are a lot of people that you have not met yet because they dressed up to disguise themselves as to something other than what they are. Or you're disguised if you can speak to me some Sundays and some Sundays you won't. You're disguised if it depends on what crowd you're in. Will depend on whether you speak to me or not. You're disguised if you can only praise him when you're singing. You're disguised if you can only shout when you're preaching. You're disguised if you can only talk to a certain people, depending on the certain crowd that's around. Somebody look at your neighbor and say, take off your disguise.
Come on.
Not only be yourself, but you got to be careful. Be careful not to bring others into your stuff. I said, and be careful not to allow others to bring you into their stuff. Look at verses 7 and 8. They allow him to bring them into his stuff. And they go find the witch, and they bring the witch news back to him, and he disguises himself. Now, he has to disguise himself because he's the king.
Yes.
And he disguises himself because he actually goes right by the Philistine camp. He goes because he doesn't want anybody to see who he's really trying to be. He disguises himself. He shows up at her door and asks, could she do him a favor to bring up Samuel? My brothers and sisters, when God ain't speaking to you, you'll do some crazy stuff. She says, you're trying to get me killed. You know what Saul has decreed, that's why I'm living in Endor, because he drove us out. She does not recognize that she's talking to Saul. And so she says, you're going to get me killed. And what he does, he says, I promise on the name of the Lord, which he had no authority to do.
Come on.
So he was lying again. Yes. Nothing will happen to you if you just bring up Samuel. She goes into this familiar place and she conjures up the spirit of Samuel. Now he does not see Samuel, but she does. And she shrieks at seeing him, but Samuel has a message for Saul. Samuel says, why have you bothered me? Why have you brought me into your mess? You can't be yourself because you're in trouble with God. He says, but by the way, Saul, what's going to happen is by this time tomorrow, you and your whole family won't even be here. So see, you got to understand that God will handle the situation. He sought for some advice and guidance. But what he heard, he probably wished that he never asked for. He never dreamed that the message that he would get back from Samuel would be that today's your last day. Brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to tell you is you've got to learn to take off any disguise and come before God naked and open. Because God knows all about us anyway. And I know it's Halloween and I know they dressed up tonight. And I know the streets are flooded with trick-or-treaters. But I've discovered that trick-or-treaters are not always in the street. Sometimes some tricks come up in the church. I know this is an unconventional message, but sometimes everything in the church is not here for the purpose of God. Sometimes there's some individuals who come up in the church to see how they can get over on people in the church. Preach, Tim, I'm really doing the best I can under the circumstances, but I've come to understand that God will even handle the trickers and the treaters. As I said, the God who can cancel every plot, every plan, every prank, every ploy, every plot, every predicament, everything that anybody tries to put on you, no weapon formed against you shall prosper anyway. So you can go home and just thank God for the treat that he's getting ready to give you. Turn to somebody and say, God has been so good to me. I don't have to knock on nobody's door. I can just call on the name of the Lord. Tell the Lord what I want. Anybody here can testify that God has been good to you. You ain't got to beg nobody for anything. Somebody knows that God has blessed you with everything. Somebody say this and that. This and that. This and that. I'll put it all in his hands. Anybody here tonight can say I'm coming just as I am. There's no tricks in me. I'm going to help this church, but I'm going to help this church with all I have. I don't have to try to beat nobody but me. Is there anybody here that can testify that God has brought you from the uttermost, from the guttermost? He has picked you up and turned you around. Is there anybody here that can say, be not dismayed? Whatever be the tide, God will take care of you. Beneath his wings, love abide. God will take care of you. But I got a theology for you. It was the me that I was being myself that got me in most of the trouble. So I figured out that I couldn't do it alone. I needed the Lord to do it for me. And if when you give the best of your service, trying to tell the world that the Savior lives, be not dismayed. If men don't believe you, he'll understand and he'll say, well done. Is there anybody here tonight that wants to hear the Lord say, well done? I know you're coming broke. I know you're coming frustrated. I know you're coming depressed. I know you're coming discombobulated. But still here you are. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, don't count me out. your backbones bent. You want to rap back with an attitude. You want to open your mouth.